Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cinephile Gamers podcast. I am your host, Bo Smith. The Oscars happened this past weekend, and I know what some of you are going to say. I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't heard about the Will Smith slap. Yeah, I've seen your snide comments on Facebook and social media. That's not funny after the third time I've read it. Okay, but yeah, the Oscars did happen this weekend, and obviously a lot of people are talking about it because of the slap, which we'll get into, but we're also going to talk about some of the highlights of the show, some of the negatives of the show, and overall some of the big wins of the night. And you know what? Because we've already brought up the slap, that's just going to be the thing we're going to talk about first. And obviously, since people have been talking about it for the last few days, I'm adding nothing new here. I'm not contributing to the conversation or changing anything about it, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. So, for those who have been living under a rock for the last week, during the Oscars, Chris Rock, just doing a little stand-up bit, mentions Jada Pinkett Smith and says G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it just because she had shaved her head before the show. And then Will Smith gets up on stage, smacks Chris Rock across the mouth, and as soon as he gets off the stage, he says the infamous line, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." And yeah, it got intense. And of course, it's been memed on. Will Smith has come out and apologized about it, both in his speech that night as well as after the show too. It was a huge controversial moment that happened in the show. Nothing really previously like that before. So what do I have to say about it? First off, the thing that set Will Smith off is because Jada has alopecia, and apparently she has come out about that before. Personally, I did not know about it. I don't think Chris Rock knew about it. In fact, I think he has said just as much. So Will just went up there to defend Jada's honor, and I can kind of understand that, but if Chris didn't know about it, then I don't think, first off, I don't think it prompts a slap in the first place. Chris Rock is a comedian. He is just doing his job. He is making a joke on this. And, if you're upset about it, you can just yell from where you're sitting. I mean, he is right front center of the stage in front of Chris Rock. He could have just yelled up in there and been like, "Hey, keep my wife's name out of your mouth," or just "Not cool. This is totally unprofessional. She has a medical condition," or something like that. Or, since he did, spoilers, won Best Actor that night, he could have mentioned something in his speech. And I mean, it would have painted Chris Rock to be a bad guy, and people would be like, "Oh, what an ass." But he didn't do that. He went up, he smacked him, and then went on a tirade, and that was that. And I gotta say this, props to Chris Rock for just handling it like a champ as well. I mean, you can see he's just like, wow, this is the greatest night in television history. And then as he's getting ready to present the award for Best Documentary, he stumbles over his words a little bit because you can tell he's rattled. But I mean, he is a professional comedian. He knows how to deal with hecklers of sort. I'm sure he's never been slapped before in the middle of a show, but he knows how to handle it. So props to him for that. Now, Will Smith, I mean, he is the most likable man in Hollywood, I'd say without a doubt. So the fact that, he did this is absolutely surprising. And I mean, granted, there are people that are defending him. And you know what? I commend him for wanting to defend his wife's honor, but he just went about that the entirely wrong way. He is in the wrong for that. But you know that because of this thing that happened, he is taking a lot of horrible credit right now. I mean, he is not favorable in the public eye because of it. He's had to backtrack on just what he had said in his speech at the Oscars for Best Picture, which he had said, because of my role in King Richard, I've learned that I am a defender and that I have been called, I feel like, to protect the ones that I love, and I should just be an embodiment of love no matter what I do. And that's kind of like a half-baked apology of just defending his actions on that. So it does not look good. And what should have been, capping off such a big moment in his career, he's going to look at that Oscar and be like, man, I'm always going to be remembering this night as smacking Chris Rock and then getting hated by the public for it. And I hate that for him because, yeah, while I do believe he's in the wrong for this, I like Will Smith. I mean, I think everyone likes Will Smith. in the court of public opinion, everyone's going to move past this. And of course, it's going to get memed on for the foreseeable future. And people are going to bring it up whenever they're like, oh, yeah, but remember whenever he smacked someone? Yeah, but just because he made a mistake and did one bad thing does not paint him out to be a horrible person. We have all made mistakes. Will Smith has done more good in his life than bad. So we're going to move past this on Will Smith. It's going to take a little bit, but overall, I'm not going to be angry at the man forever. He just made a stupid error on his part that could have been handled a lot differently, that still could have painted him in a great light, but he's going to have to win another Oscar now just so he can get past that moment and be celebrated for his win. Because I gotta say, King Richard was a fantastic performance, and I was happy he won the Oscar for it. But anyway, that's my take on the slap. Let's kind of get on with the rest of the Oscars. So I will say this. I missed like the first 15, 20 minutes of the show, and I didn't get to stick around for the last little bit of the show for Best Actress as well as Best Picture, so because of where we were staying at while watching the show. But the Oscars, it was slated to be a 3-hour show, ended up running to be 3 hours, 45 minutes, and I don't know how that is possible since it should have been done at the 3-hour mark. Probably should have been done before that. I mean, part of the contributing factors for that is because you have 3 hosts. First off, I don't know why you have to have 3 hosts for the show. They've done something similar in the past, I'm pretty sure, and it doesn't work out well in my opinion. I mean, you have 3 MCs that are talking over each other, and they're not really MCing the event. They're like trying to be entertainers, and really they just need to move on the show. Wanda Sykes, I love Wanda Sykes. Regina Hall, I think, is good. Why they brought Amy Schumer, who hasn't done anything publicly in a few years, I have no clue, but she did okay, but I don't know why. And they did skits throughout the show, and the Oscars does not need skits. Like I said, it needs someone to MC the event, crack a few jokes, steer the show and where it needs to go, and then that's all. So the fact that we have 3 hosts draws out the show a little bit. There's also a lot of ads that were placed in the show that ABC was doing specifically because, it's owned by Disney, so they want to promote Disney Plus, Hulu, ABC shows, all these different things that they don't really need to be doing in the first place. That draws out the show as well. One of the other moments that took away from time from the show that should have been for awards is that since there was no popular movie Oscar like they had been tossing around back and forth, they decided to do fan favorite moments where they put up Twitter polls for different things, and that's going to go about as well as you expect because it's going to be inundated with these huge fans. And of course, one of them was like most cheer-worthy moments in movie, and 3 of them were superhero movies. The winner of it ended up being Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is hilarious that it even made an appearance at the Oscars. But it's just those things that you're just like, how did you expect that was going to go? No one's going to be doing like one of these nominated movies. They're going to be doing mainstream people are going to be watching. So I don't know why they expected that. And it was just kind of a waste of time as well. They really don't need to continue with that again. You also have a clip package of 50 Years of James Bond, which was introduced by 3 athletes that have no relation to Hollywood or movies of any kind, which is just a weird choice. I feel like you need to relate it back to the movie somehow or just get actors to do it. Of course, with the last few awards like Best Actor, Best Actress, Director, and Best Picture, for some reason, whenever it gets to that later part of the show, they really drag things out. Like they do a segment, they maybe do one award, then go to commercial, then they do a completely new segment, and then don't even do another award, and then it just draws out the show even more. And really, by that point, you should be hitting these award shows like that. I mean, no one really wants to be like, okay, yeah, this is entertaining, but I want to watch what's going to win next, so get on with the show. And what's crazy is like, they were trying to combat making a long show by still doing all the awards, but before the show actually started, they would do some of the minor awards like Best Sound, Best Film Editing, that sort of thing, and they would list off the categories before the show, and then do a recording of who won, and then they would put it in later in the show. And that's okay. I don't care for that, just because I feel like every person nominated or every person who wins needs to be able to show off what they've achieved. They would just do the nominees, they would immediately cut to who won, and then they do like a quick 10-15 second speech, which isn't fair to them because they worked hard for that award, and I feel like they should get a time to shine for that. But obviously, with what they were trying to do to speed up the show, it didn't work out. They could try it again next year and cut out all the extra crap from the show to speed it along and still do the quick, not as big awards, I guess. But still, if you're going to do that, you might as well let the drama play out of finding out, and the Oscar goes to X movie, that sort of thing. Additionally, you had We Don't Talk About Bruno being played at the show with a Oscar-specific rap verse, and I don't know why you include that. First off, the song is not even nominated for Best Original Song, which it should have been because then it would have won, but why are you throwing this in there? You're just adding more time, and I'm tired of hearing this song in the first place. I hear it on my wife's TikTok all the time, so I'm burnt out on the song. It's stuff that I don't understand. And look, I know people who are listening to this that probably don't watch the show are just like, why are you complaining about the show then? Just don't watch it. No one else watches it. And I get that. It's not made for everyone. That's not the purpose of it. And yeah, it's really just for the Hollywood elite and everyone patting themselves on the back. But as someone who really enjoys film, has studied it before, this is neat to me, and I want to appreciate cinema. I mean, you get 10 movies that you probably would not have seen in the first place. Granted, a few of them were popular, like Dune or West Side Story, that most people are going to watch, but that leaves 8 other movies that you probably haven't heard about before that you're like, I guess I need to give this a watch, see if it's any good or not. And that's the purpose of the Oscars, I feel like, is to celebrate the achievements in film and to appreciate cinema that might have otherwise gone unnoticed by you and be like, oh, I want to open myself up to something new now. It's not for everyone, but for the people who enjoy it, I think this is a night to celebrate. So let's celebrate some of the good things that happened. I mean, what we like about the Oscars is that the heartfelt moments of people winning their very first award, or these people who have been in the industry for a long time, they get to actually celebrate something. And like Kenneth Branagh finally winning an Oscar, who I have thought won an Oscar previously, but apparently not. I mean, he won for Best Original Screenplay, and that's something to be celebrated. And obviously, Belfast is a great movie, or the fact that Coda won all 3 of its awards that it was nominated for. And that should be celebrated, which I'll get into in just a second, because it's those moments in the interactions of people getting emotional about something that means so much to them. I mean, obviously, let's talk about Troy Kotsur winning Best Supporting Actor, which that was absolutely hands down the best part of the night. Because as Yoon Ye-jung, who won Best Supporting Actress last year for Minari, which I was happy about last year, whenever she goes out and she's being very modest and she's like, people have a hard time pronouncing my name, now I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing all these other names. As she opens up the envelope, she starts signing Troy Kotsur's name, and that's just such a sweet moment. And of course, she holds his Oscar for him, that way he can actually sign out his acceptance speech. And it was such a heartfelt, moving speech about how he has been in deaf plays for most of his career, and he gets such a big role in this movie, and how he thanks his dad for being the best signer ever, and then tells a tragic story about him being paralyzed from the neck down so he can never sign again. He's just like, this is dedicated to you and the rest of the deaf community. And you're just like, this is a great moment for everyone. And I hate to be negative, but then it gets followed up with an advertisement with Chris Evans, who is just like, congratulations, Troy Kotsur, which is obviously pre-recorded, so I guess he knew. And it's just like such an amazing moment for cinematic history. And now to present an ad for my new movie coming out this summer, Lightyear, and you're just like, what? Why? You are taking away from the moment. Just something I don't understand. Don't do that. And I'm sure Chris Evans necessarily didn't want to do it. He was probably paid to promote for the movie, but still, it's just one of those things that really wasn't necessary at all. As far as other awards go that I thought were significant, that I certainly was trying to make a bet on and pay attention to, Best Original Song, Los Oriotos, I believe is how you pronounce the song from Encanto, did not win. It should have been. We don't talk about Bruno being nominated because that would have won hands down. In fact, it was No Time to Die from the James Bond movie, which James Bond music always going to be great. So not surprised there. That's why I expected to win anyways. And unfortunately, that means Lin-Manuel Miranda didn't win his Oscar, which means he would have gotten an EGOT. But he wasn't there anyways because his wife had come down with COVID, so he was quarantining. So, I mean, maybe next time whenever he makes an award-winning movie musical, because it's going to happen, he can be there to finally get his EGOT, which will be great. And that's going to be a special moment as well. Now, one of the cool moments from the show that happened a few different times throughout the night, which I think they should continue to do, just if they do want to add a little bit more substance that's not necessarily giving out awards, is that they had movie reunions. Like they had a 15th anniversary reunion for Pulp Fiction, or I know it's older than 15 years old, but they had a reunion for Pulp Fiction, Juno, White Men Can't Jump, and The Godfather, and they got to bring on like the key cast members from that movie, from those movies that got to talk a little bit about their experience with it and just kind of how it relates to the award show. Like the one from Pulp Fiction is so good because they brought out the briefcase and they're like, so what was the big deal about the briefcase? And they open up, the gold light hits them and they start smiling. And it was just a nominee card. And that's a cool moment. And you get to celebrate cinematic history from these popular, iconic movies that have influenced film as well. So that's something that should be carried over into future shows as well, especially since there's always good movies that need to be re-celebrated. All right, now let's get into basically the big winners of the night. I had already mentioned Troy Kotsur winning Best Supporting Actor, which is one of the ones that I was really hoping would win, and I got that right. I had mentioned Best Song already. Out of the 5 animated movies that were nominated this year, 3 of them were owned by Disney and Pixar, and of course that means Disney's bound to win an award, and of course it went to Encanto. I was hoping it would be Luca, but I realized that was not the more popular movie. As far as the technical achievement awards go, Dune just absolutely swept. They won all of them, including Best Original Score, so Dune's probably going to be the next movie I watch just so I can see it. And I have heard a lot of good things already about Dune. I'm surprised I haven't watched it sooner. I really wanted to read the book first and then just kind of watch the movie from there, just kind of to get a better idea of it. But from what I've heard from people who have watched the movie, they are equating it as the next big Lord of the Rings movie, and it's going to be a trilogy, and from what I've heard, it's going to win multiple awards for each movie that comes out. And obviously, this is a good example of that because it won just about everything on the technical achievement scale. It won Best Original Score as well, like I had mentioned before, which I was kind of sad that Power of the Dog didn't do that because that to me was the most significant score. But like I said, gonna have to watch Dune and see how that plays out. Cruella won Best Costume Design, which, I mean, I don't really care for costume design. That's something that I'd have to watch a lot of different movies for. Never saw Cruella, but from what I heard, it was The Devil Wears Prada. So I assume if it's a movie about costumes, the costume one should go to that. Or at least I would hope so. Otherwise, your costumes must not be that good. But obviously Cruella won that. Questlove won for Best Documentary Feature for Summer of Soul, which he got really emotional for. And that's one of the things that I love about the Oscars is that emotion, that human emotion that comes from everything. And that's what makes it so unique on that. And of course, he got to dedicate it to his late father and his mom, who was in the crowd crying along with him. Belfast won Best Original Screenplay. Coda won Best Adapted Screenplay, which I was super happy for. Ariana DeBose won Best Supporting Actress, which I honestly did not see coming. I did get to watch West Side Story before this. I meant to put out a review, but that should be coming soon. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and Rita Moreno, who was nominated 60 years before, was in the audience cheering her on. Ariana DeBose makes this the first openly LGBTQ Afro-Latina winner, which is an odd random fact, but it keeps getting pushed out there, so I guess you should know that too. And she had a good performance. I did like it. I do think it would have been better for Rita Moreno to win it, but she got to produce the movie and she got to play an original role within the new West Side Story. Like I said, I'll get into that in the movie whenever I put out that movie review. But congratulations to Ariana for winning that. Drive My Car won Best International Feature Film because it was nominated for Best Picture, so I would think it's going to win that. Jane Campion won Best Director. Power of the Dog, that was the only win it won in. And I gotta say, I am happy that Jane Campion did win that. I thought she did an excellent job with the direction of that movie. And out of all the awards for it to win, I'm glad it was that one, and I'm glad it wasn't Best Picture. Jessica Chastain won Best Actress for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which I didn't get to see at all, but apparently it's good, so need to give that a watch. Will Smith, of course, won Best Actor, which I have mentioned it before on the King Richard review. I think was definitely deserving of the win. So happy for him on that, despite the slap and everything. Oh well. And then, of course, Best Picture, which Coda won, baby. Yeah. Seriously, if you have not watched Coda, go and watch it. It is worth getting Apple TV for that. And it is a great movie that will make you laugh, will make you cry. You're going to want to rewatch it. In fact, I've been wanting to rewatch it for like a week and a half now. And this was not the one that was supposed to win from what I could tell. I mean, it really seemed like it was either going to go to Power of the Dog or Dune, but it has had a big push in the last couple of weeks. So really happy it won. And it means a lot to the deaf community. In fact, if you haven't gotten to watch that whole presentation, first off, Lady Gaga wheeled out Liza Minnelli, and that was just a fun exchange right there. Very sweet and was very handled well, especially since it seemed like Liza Minnelli is having some health issues, so nice to see that there. And then, of course, you have Sean Hayter, the director of Coda, who is just absolutely shocked whenever their name is announced for the winner of that. And she just has a very impassionate speech for the deaf community and all the cast and crew of that movie. And it was just really nice to see, especially whenever you have signers that are communicating to the deaf community as well during their speeches too. So really cool to see. And that was the Oscars 2022. It was set to be a pretty tame Oscars for the most part, aside from the infamous slap that Will Smith gave. But other than that, yeah, pretty satisfied with most of the awards that were given out. Definitely going to have a few more movies that I do need to watch, especially Dune. Like I said, it's going to be coming out here soon. So I'm excited to watch that and see maybe what the future sequels have to hold as well. So I want to know, what do you think deserved to win Best Picture if it wasn't Coda? Were you happy with what happened at the Oscars if you did watch it? Or what's your opinion on Will Smith slapping Chris Rock? Let me know. You can follow me at Cinephile Gamers on Twitter. Or if you go to our Patreon, you can always subscribe there. And hey, if you're on Facebook, I just created a Facebook page which I'm posting the new episodes to whenever those come out as well. So make sure to follow me either on Facebook at the Cinephile Gamers or on Twitter at Cinephile Gamers, like I said, and you can see whenever new episodes come out. As always, guys, thanks for listening. Can't wait to see you next time.